Okay, brace positions, everybody. We're about to kick off season. Yes, Alan. Yeah, I was about to introduce that season 2. We're going up to the top division. I realise that, Alan. Yes, it's probably going to end in relegation. We will need a new series. You're absolutely right. No, you can't have a more prominent role in the next series. Here we go then, everybody. If I can get a word in before Alan carries on chirping away, let's introduce Season 2 of the Dobfather. Season 1 was an absolute write-off. We've ended up getting promoted to the top division. You lot seem to think that there's not too much of a difference between the second tier in Slovenia and the top. Some of you are getting a little bit cocky, if I'm honest. I think talk of finishing mid-table may be well off the pace. We've had a busy summer, a lot has happened behind the scenes. Let's show you everything you need to know about the division we're moving to, first of all, in the season preview. First of all, Slovenian football was rocked this summer as Boris Johnson quit UK politics and took over as boss of Primore. Johnson will be managing in the second tier, where in the promotion playoff, Alumini managed to defeat top flight Bravo. We had surprise champions of Slovenia as Koper finished top of the table ahead of Olympia, and Maribor were down in 7th. But they've been active over the summer and are favourites for the title this year, and will brush over the fact that we are 1,000 to 1 shots. Elsewhere, Olympia won the cup, defeating our local rivals Domžale, and both cup finalists join NK Mura as Slovenia's representatives in the Conference League, whilst FC Koper go into the qualifiers for the Champions League. Once the transfer window opened, foreign clubs circled for Slovenian talent. Having collected his winner's medal, Luka Ticic headed to Italy. Olympia shelled out 190,000 on Luka Stor, and Almin Kurtovic moved to Maribor. But clearly the big news was Nom's 3-year sponsorship deal of relegated Bravo. For the opening day of the new league campaign, the two promoted sides will face each other, with Dob at home to Aluminium, where we'll be sporting our new kits after a 1-year deal was signed with Umbro. And we'll be roared on by a near-capacity crowd now that we've sold 259 season tickets. So as you can see, I think we'll be up against it this season. Whilst we're relying on youth intakes and we can't see how good they are, Olympia and Maribor have spent nearly £200,000 apiece signing up the best talent from relegated Bravo. However, we do have one little boost that's taken place over the summer. We are now a fully professional club, which will mean that we can train 5-6 days a week if we wish, rather than the 2 or 3 days a week we were restricted to last season. But we have more news to celebrate in the form of further support for the channel. A huge thank you to JM Thought, who was already a Patreon member, but has upped his monthly pledge. And last episode we introduced the new channel memberships that you can join by hitting the button down below, and you can support the channel for just 99p a month. And we're pleased to welcome our first channel member, who was in there like the proverbial shot. So a massive thank you to the Llama Queen for becoming the first member of the Llama Army. But it's not all good news, I'm afraid. As we feared, being promoted to the same level as our parent club meant that links with Domžale were severed, and we've had a severe downgrade to our facilities as a result. We now have below average training and youth facilities, only average academy coaching and average youth recruitment, and despite a small boost to our finances, and it was only a small boost from getting promotion, the board say that we don't have the money to improve any of our facilities. Even the youth recruitment that is comparably cheap compared to the others, they think is already at a good enough standard for the level that we are playing at. So it means that the next batch of youngsters coming through is probably going to be nowhere near as good as the ones that we've just had. And the ones that we've just had were no great shakes either. So this challenge is becoming more and more difficult. But we've also lost another player as well. In fact, we've lost 4 players, because I made the decision to let all 3 players from Domžale return to their parent club, and I've decided not to bring them back in on loan. I'm not keen on bringing in players that we haven't produced ourselves. I used them last season because they were contracted to the club for a year, but I'm not going to bring them back in, even if that's going to make things much, much harder for us, because I wanted this to be a challenge, and I don't want to try and create shortcuts to circumnavigate how difficult this might be. We've lost a 4th player as well. And that is young Clement Kunstl at the age of 41, cut down in his prime. He's decided to retire from professional football. We have brought him back in. He's one of our under-19s coaches. I've got no idea whether he's any good, but he's got a fairly professional personality. So he joins the backroom staff, but we do have another new player as well. Brace yourselves, everybody. I've made a signing. The scouts were oot and aboot all season last year, and I don't mind telling you it became a little bit bleak looking at every single player that they found, clicking on their history, only to find that they'd not started their career at Dob, so I couldn't sign them. But then, towards the end of the season, through the darkness, an emerald shone bright, and he was called Marcos. Not Marcus, Marcos. Little bit of a glottal stop there, but he started his career at NK Dob. In fact, I think he's even a local boy, having been born in Dob himself. He's not the greatest player in the world. In fact, he's only a level 3 Slovenian division player. He's got the potential to be good enough to play at the division below. He's certainly not good enough to play at the division we're at now, but he is very consistent, which is quite nice. And it does say that he's quite a technical player with a fair amount of pace. So as a backup in central midfield, probably as the attacking central midfielder, it was just a thrill, if I'm honest, to bring in a new player. But alongside signing a new player, we've also managed to commit another one to a contract who I was resigned to losing last season. Ivan Makovic was refusing to sign a contract all through the last campaign, but once we turned professional, suddenly he was prepared to open negotiations. So we've snapped him up on a 3-year deal on £240 per week, but he became one of our most important defenders last campaign, probably a player who we can ill afford to have lost, and it means that our defence is going to be slightly stronger than I was anticipating. Only the loss of the lone central defender that's returned to Domžale leaves that small hole in our central defence that we're going to try and fill this season by playing either Tadej Rems, a 5'8" centre-half who was limited to some substitute appearances last season. In fact, he's got so fed up of waiting for his chance at the age of 29 that he's decided that he would like to leave the club on a free transfer at the end of the season. So we're probably going to lose him as well. If we don't use him all the way through this season, we do have another central defensive option in the form of Gaspar Petek, who is a proper centre-half. He's 6'1", but there's a couple of elements to his game which are not great. Doesn't really have any composure or any strength or any fitness, which is why today I'm giving the nod to Rems. But we don't have to wait too long before some of our youngsters are going to be old enough to make their appearance for the first team. So it might be that we can bring up one of the centre-halves from the under-19s before the end of the season and start cementing their place in the side. Today, we're going to give the nod to Šípek, who's been in good form during pre-season. We're going to give him another go because last season he was in the media's top 50 players for the division below, so he should be one of our strongest players. He'll be up front alongside Gajic and Grigorin. And the other change that we've got to make to our team is to replace Clement Kunstl. So we've replaced the marauding Adonis that was Big Clem at 6'2" with Giga Avbelj, who's 5'4". He's going to be a different kind of player, but he does have good timing in the challenge. That should be useful, and he's going to have a lot more pace than 41-year-old Clem was able to bring to the table. He's also unhappy because he hasn't been getting enough game time. I'm thinking that during the course of this season, as he realises he's the only option we have there until the under-19s are a bit older, I think he might be willing to sign a new contract going forward. So these are our boys that are going to go and play our first game as a Slovenian top-flight side, as we're going to take on Alumini. Here we go then, drink in the atmosphere, everybody. It's our first game at the top division level in Slovenia, and with the signing of Marcos, no, I'm still not saying Marcus, with the signing of Marcos, it means that we've managed to get a squad big enough so that we only have 2 vacancies on the bench, one of which we've filled with a greyed out keeper because we still don't have a second one of those. until our youth intake keeper turns 17, and we've got one other spot on the bench missing, which works out fairly well because Nom's 7'10", and he needs 2 spots to really stretch out his legs. And by the way, while I'm yabbering on, 90 seconds into the game, have we scored our first top division goal? I think we have, and Gajic is the man that's done it. Šípek does some good work down the right. Timmy Zidane returns the ball to him, and he strides towards goal, and then it's a little dink over the defence, and Gajic heads us into a 1-0 lead. We have made a couple of tactical tweaks for the new season. I'm going to experiment with a little bit of counter-pressing to begin with, just to try and help us win the ball back even more frequently. And I've also changed the role of our number 9 as well. Last season, we used a deep lying forward on support. We're still going to go with a support duty for our striker, but we're going to try a pressing forward instead, just to see if we can try and harry the opposition more often. And with less than 6 minutes gone, we're 2-0 in the lead on our debut in the top flight. I know we're playing a team that finished below us in the league we were in last season, but this is still good news, and Šípek's involved again. Another assist for him. He might come good for us this season. And so might Kasnic as he moves into the box and strikes our second goal of the game home. And we are looking strong. We've hammered a clearance up the pitch and we've managed to win it. And here goes Grigorin, the pressing forward as he is now. He can also play as a left winger, and that's where he's moved into now. And we've got the ball. Oh, it's dreamland. It's Kigler. It's 9.5 minutes into the game. We're 3-0 up. I'm not sure what's happening here. We were in rude form during pre-season, but we were playing Austrian non-league teams. We've now managed to race into a 3-goal lead with less than 10 minutes played. Can only get worse from here. Okay, backspace, 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 backspace. Delete that comment. We're not winning the league. How dare you even suggest it? But this is an encouraging start, although Brest is now rampaging down the wing. They've got a corner. I don't want to throw away a 3-goal lead on the opening day of the season. That would be a little deflating, as Brest has now got the corner, and in it goes. We've headed it away. Mitrovic is charging reluctantly towards the ball, and Makovic heads it semi-clear. All right, the defence still has a lot of work to do, but Makovic has won it. He's given it to Afbelge, and Grigorin turns, thinks about countering, changes his mind. Look at these match stats after 25 minutes played, an XG of almost 2, 10 shots, 4 on target. We are playing well, people, and we're coming forward again. We've still only played half an hour of this game. Alumini have the ball. Brest has been heavily involved down that right wing. Looks like a bit of a star man for them. And they managed to clear it. We've got Grigorin. This could be another highlight for us. He's doing some good work, just ferreting around in that number 9 position. And we've worked it out to the wing. And Šípek again. Is he going to prove to have his 3rd assist in the locker this game? He's not. Although we've got a 4th goal. It's Gajic that gets the assist. Kasnic makes it a brace for him this afternoon. We could be going into half-time 4-0 up in the Slovenian top division. This is more than Nom and I dreamed of as we went to sleep last night. This is turning into an absolute rout. It's a little flicked header past the goalkeeper, who's not having a great afternoon, but we are. And we might not be done yet. We've won the ball back in the centre circle with Grigorin, and we're hungry for another goal. Here he goes, and Šípek's in, and he's had a really good effort. That probably should have been a 5th. We're going to have to content ourselves with a corner, and Gajic is going to be the man over there to take it. He's headed for the far post. We've got a 5'8" centre-half trying to win it. Who's not updated the corner routines? That's right. That would be me. I'm going to have to get on to that at half-time, I think. Okay, nobody panic. We've updated those corner routines, so the person that's trying to win the headers on the near post is now taller than 5'8". Slight oversight on my part. Didn't notice that during pre-season. And we've raced through to 57 minutes, and we've won the ball back after a turnover from Alumini, and it's all the way back with our keeper, who feeds it to Rems, a 5'8" centre-half. Honestly, I'm not sure how he's going to cope this season, but later on in the year we will have some of our youth products turning 17 and we can get them into the squad. In fact, by the end of August, young Rock or Black is going to be old enough to make his debut as Gajic goes through on goal and has another really good chance to score, and the keeper saves it. It's led to a corner, and I think Gajic is going to be the man that's on it. He's going to sling it in. Far post this time, where Mitrovic, 6'2", there you go, power thinking, manages to challenge for the ball, and now the move peters out. On 70 minutes, I think we treat ourselves to a couple of changes. Grigorin was great during pre-season. He's the only player that's not excelled this afternoon, so we'll bring in Levech. Himself had a good finish to the last campaign and can easily play as a striker, although he is more naturally a left winger. And why don't we also enjoy a little bit of Marcos this afternoon? I think we'll bring him off for Kegler, but we'll switch Kos and Kasnic around. We'll leave Kasnic on the pitch because technically he is working his way towards a hat-trick, and we'll see whether Mark Kos can get involved in the game. We've made one further change. We've brought Dino Zenkovic on the pitch. I don't think we're going to get to see any of our substitutes in action as we breeze through a second half without adding any further goals. But look at the performance from the players in terms of the XG. They've absolutely blitzed Aluminium this afternoon, and we've just told the rest of the division that maybe we're not going to be the pushovers that you lot didn't think we were going to be, but I certainly decided that we would. And after one game, I really don't see the need for the rest of the season. Dobber top, we've qualified for the Champions League, and we've won our first league title in the Dobfather.